Hello and welcome to Decorative. My name is Mary and this is Wes. And tonight is episode 58. We are talking about decorating guide wraps. So specifically, let me get that word out.
Specifically guide wraps.
There are so many ways to do this. Like when I was compiling the list of the things that I have already tried.
Tell me all the ways.
There's so many different ways. But this comes off of us or actually me, myself, okay? I personally cannot stand wrapping guides. Can't stand it.
I don't mind wrapping guides as long as I'm not doing intricate thread work with it.
Yeah, like a lot of fades or a lot of inlays or anything of that nature.
Because my biggest pet peeve with that is in order to get all this intricacy seen and it lay flat and look nice, that guide wrap has to be longer than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. And anywhere that we're putting thread and epoxy
not doing it.
Is changing how the action of the rod is, and
I'm not saying all of them do that, because you could do it on heavier rods and it not affect it, but I don't want to.
For the most part, we wrap pretty much as close to the foot as we can.
I usually am 2 to 3 millimeters off the foot of the guide.
Yeah, that's about where I am too. Now, sometimes it depends on the size of the guide and the blank, because I do tend to shrink the wraps as they get towards the tip instead of them all being the same exact size. So sometimes maybe the stripper might be getting a little bit of a longer little edge or something, just to proportionate, or for it to be proportionate. That's a new one tonight.
The stripper always gets the longer edge.
But I think before we go into talking about decorating the guide wraps, because other than obviously thread and stuff like that, this is a section of the blank that a lot of people ignore when it comes to like continuing the theme, because it is such a small little, depending on what guides. I mean, guide size, guide frames obviously dictate how much space there is, but this is a lot of unused places that we can continue the theme all the way up towards the tip. But one thing that I have been against for so long and have completely changed my mind this year is grinding guide feet.
You just don't like to do it.
I hate it. Well, I just don't like wrapping guides. So my whole original concept was that I don't want to take the protective coating off the feet because of all those rods that were coming in that we were doing repairs on, and all the rust that was down in there, and like, it was just kind of like, ugh. But you couldn't tell if that was, just it aging and water getting down in there, or if they had actually grounded the feet, ground the foot down, whatever version of that you want to go with. So I just had this idea that grinding the feet was just like, we shouldn't have to do that. It should come in. It should be perfect the way it is. We shouldn't be messing with it in any way, shape, or form. But I changed my mind. Everybody else that said to do that, you were right. 100%. It makes it so much easier to wrap them, makes it smoother. You can get them done a lot quicker than sitting there and fighting with the thread trying to slip off. So prepping the guide feet is mandatory. I changed my stance. It is what it is. And even the ones that have the burls, like that are on the bottom, like you absolutely...
Burls or
like
burrs?
The burrs. They have burrs on the bottom. You definitely have to get that sanded off, right?
What are you talking about?
Like if there's some that come in and they're a little...
You mean
rough.
the bumps from where they're painted or coated?
Not the painted, like the stainless steel ones that come in and they're a little grippy.
Oh, where they were basically like welded together.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
they got a little bit of roughness down there. Take some of that off because you don't want that like cutting into your blank or anything. But besides all that, all the different ways that we can decorate them, obviously thread. That's the go-to. Putting inlays in, putting olive branches in, doing multiple colors, fades all the way up the foot. I hate doing that. I'm okay doing a few like trim bands at the end of it, but I'm not trying to take anything that travels up the foot. I'll do a whole bunch of stuff in the under wrap section because it's straight, flat. I can calculate it math-wise. But I don't want to take anything that is having to climb the foot because it never fails that if I did design one that had it'd be doing some
Just that
weird
wave.
you try to pack it to get it to shift, and this was before I prepped the feet, so maybe that stance might change. No, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. But thread is obviously the first go-to. But like Wes was saying, if you're trying to keep it really short, then you're having a whole lot of like trying to do this intricate stuff while you're trying to tie it on there to begin with. And I don't really like to use the rod glue or the guide glue to stick it on there because I'm just weird about stuff sometimes. But one of the other things that you can do is painting. Because for me, I don't want to do the guide wraps to begin with. I don't mind it if it's a solid color. But I'm not trying to do a whole, it'll take me 3 hours because I get so just like, it's monotonous for me and I don't like doing it. So thread, obviously your first choice, you can do it. I go to painting. I like to paint them. I like to do all kinds of things with them. So I can use a solid as a base and not have to do with that. Now, it depends on the theme. Like my Sugar Skull series, those guide wraps were annoying. But I wrapped it in a solid color base and then did a fade wrap with a thread over top of it. So I wasn't having to hold the guide on there. It was already secured and already had a coat of epoxy on it. I just went back over it to do the decorative stuff. And that's so much easier than trying to do it all at the same time. But I have tried just regular paint, regular acrylic paint, and just doing whatever designs. The latest one is actually sitting back here. Metallic paint, just doing some brush strokes all over it. Looks really cool, actually. I've used the paint pens. I have made camo grip on the recent one that went out, the bass rod. I painted all of the guide wraps in a camo design. And one of the other ones that I painted this year was I didn't give that one a name, the turquoise and the red. That was for Josie's gifts.
Yep.
That was a donation rod, but I painted those to match the grips, so they had this kind of like kaleidoscope look, if you will. I enjoy painting them. I can do, even painting them, it takes me about an hour for all the intricate stuff, but I have more fun doing that than I would be fussing over trying to get an inlay in and cutting tags and all this other stuff. Another way that you can do it is marbling. Now, we get into that debate about weight out on the tip, and some blanks, obviously, fly rod, you definitely shouldn't be marbling your guide wraps. Very little on the guide wraps at all for fly rods, but offshore, you get away with marbling on them. As long as you're not doing really thick coats, you know.
Nah, just dump a bucket on it.
It'll be fine. Just dip the whole rod in it. And if you don't want to do it on the guides which obviously has a layer of thread on it already, you can do it flat in my little flat sheets and let it dry and then cut your strips and then stick it on your epoxy, and you're not adding that much extra weight to it at all at that point because you're not even putting epoxy on that. You cover it with epoxy after you get it on there, but there's no added epoxy with the design. Some other things that you could do, obviously decals, size them to what you're doing, and don't even think about having to go all the way from like the stripper to the tip with it. I try to, but sometimes the size of the tip and those runners up there, you're not going to fit anything on those, especially decals, because once you start to get really, really small,
you lose all the detail.
You lose the detail of it anyways, and what's the point? So kind of doing this fade out kind of thing where, bigger, smaller, smaller, and then it kind of just disappears and it runs off, and now you've got your, what?
Your fade off.
Fade off. It's not bad if you use size D, but size A definitely helps to grind them a little. Well, I don't wrap anything in D. I'm going to be honest. I don't even wrap in C hardly.
Yeah,
everything's
usually
A.
all A.
Every once in a while I'll pull out B, but I usually use all A. But correct, if it's D, you don't really have to worry about it. It's just going to right up it. The other thing is like you can decoupage this stuff. Now, a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about, you're going to have to use color preserver for it. And this is where everybody's going to go, wait a minute, we don't put color preserver on our guides. Well, I don't technically
put it on the guides.
I don't put it on thread on the guides. I wrap my guides on. They get 1 to 2 very thin coats of epoxy, just enough to seal in the thread in the guide for moving. Basically, you want to create a level place for you to be doing this painting and stuff, because if you've got any kind of ripples of the thread, you're going to see it in the paint that you add on there. And then when I stick the stuff on there, like the decoupage that I mentioned, that was cupcake liners I found at Michael's that had the Harry Potter theme on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I whatever. I took a lot of time and I can't get that word out tonight.
Painstakingly.
I think Jar Jar Binks has showed up apparently. But I took a razor, an X-Acto, and cut out around all the edges and trimmed up any of the whites and stuff. And that particular cupcake liner had a full background to it, so it was silver. And I just used the CP and just painted it on the epoxy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we only had to put like 1 or 2 more coats on that after we did it. Thin coats.
That one was 3 because parts
There
of it
was
on the
one,
edges that...
Wes was mad at me. There was one that was, I cut a star that was a little bit bigger than the guide wrap itself. And he was fussing at me because it was sticking up. And then
it wouldn't lay down.
And then when we put the 1 coat of epoxy on it, it's like, dunk. So I just took an X-Acto blade and I cut another like triangle at the end of it and basically cut the edge of it off to make it look like it just got shorter. So it was definitely a whole ordeal, but be careful about that. But when you put like the decoupage, whatever you find, it could be newspaper, it could be the cupcake liner stuff, it can be anything of that nature. When you're using the CDP to put it on there, wrap something over top of it, like thread or something, like sacrificial thread, to make sure it completely flattens and you're not just trusting that it's going to work. Because I walked away. We have kids, it happens, and I came back and was like, hey, Wes is going to be mad. And he was. But we fixed it, and it's fine. Another thing you can do, dried flowers. I have them on my sugar skulls. They're from the nail art, so they're tiny ones. But I did also buy dried flowers from Amazon that are a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do with that, you can't just slap that straight onto the rod. You have to rehydrate them. And so you just get a little, I usually use my little mixing cups, but put some water in it, drop the flowers in, let them kind of float around for a little bit. You'll try to push them down, they'll come right back to the top. You just kind of have to get them to where they're a little flimsy. You don't want to saturate them, like you don't want them soaking wet because they'll start falling apart on you. But you get them a little wet so they're pliable, put the CP on, and then you can maneuver them into their place like you would do a feather and let it go.
Yep.
But pick the ones that have the flattest centers and are not going to go off of your guide wrap or your trim or wherever else it needs to be. The other thing with that is you will have to coat over it with the color preserver after it has dried that initial time, just to make sure that when you go to apply, especially if you apply on speed with the epoxy, that you don't pull it off, because that one coat of color preserver will hold it in place and it's pretty much going to be stable. But if there's any places that are lifted and your brush catches it as it's spinning, it will rip it off. And then you've got this nasty shredded flower that it's gone. Use color preserver on a bait casting rod and the guides pulled right out. Live and learn. See, that's why we don't put it on there. Or what I suggest is when you're doing your customers' rods and stuff, obviously you don't even chance it. I always make sure that there's a layer of epoxy in between. But when it comes to my own personal ones, I haven't done it yet because it's just habit to not do it. But I'm going to test one and just see what our real life experience is, because I just am that way. But most of the stories have just don't do it because it causes issues. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense because it binds, it completely seals in everything and it won't allow epoxy to penetrate it. So there would be that kind of epoxy on glass, if you will, concept, so if you're not getting it past where the CP was, then it's just gonna pull. Before we go into the many other details and stuff, I do want to take a minute. We want to thank our sponsors, Foundation, Mud Hole. We are excited about the upcoming classes we're leaving in 4 days?
3
days.
3 days.
At the advanced rod building seminar classes, Wes and I are going to be teaching. I have 6 classes. He has 2. And there's also going to be Bill Falconer and Jim Luzet and a whole bunch of other people are presenting. Mike Groen's going to be there. And we're just super excited to be able to, one, go down there, visit, hang out, and we're going to be going fishing with Todd on Thursday. So excited about that. We finally got to go down there. Our trip last year got canceled because of the hurricane. But we're going fishing. And our children are coming with us. But if you haven't signed up to join them and you can come see us next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you should do that. Check it out. I think there's 5 spots left at this point in time.
5 as of 8:30 tonight.
So they'll feed you. There's going to be a lot of fun. Bill Falconer is going to be entertaining us with live music Saturday night, and they will be discussing some upcoming 2026 products also on Saturday. And usually we get some really good barbecue and stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. And if you can't make it this year, try to plan for next year because it's fun. Some other ways that we can also decorate our guides is with just using paint dots, little dots,
Polka dot.
polka dots. I used nail polish is something that you can use. You do have to pick and choose which nail polish because some of them are not as good as others. UV resistant stuff's obviously better. The gel nail polish is pretty good, but I use just even the paint pens that I use for my decorative wraps.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect little dotting tool, especially the extra fine point because you just make sure you don't have one that explodes. You just dot it. And that's also something that can be used for ferrules, for lining up things, for multiple piece rods. Easy peasy. Gemstones are another thing. Just be careful about the height. Usually what I do with mine is I get the nail ones. Anything that you can get from a nail artist, for the most part, is going to be small enough to fit on the guide without hindering the performance of the guide.
Yeah.
Or getting line catching on it or anything of that nature. So the little gemstones they put on their nails, they're definitely small enough and they're usually not too tall. However, if you do put one of those on there, you do not want to put so much epoxy that it completely encapsulates it on the guide. There would be a little spot that you would feel. So if
But you want that spot to be like almost flush with the epoxy.
Yes, but if you can't put enough epoxy on it to cover it up because then it's going to put too much weight on it, that's not something that you should do on the guides.
Or if it's going to create footballs.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Anything that we add to the guides, we don't want to take away from their snappiness performance. We just want to be very minimalistic to it. So stickers and dried flowers and things of that nature that are like super flat are the best bet. But some places, like for instance, your under wraps on your offshore rods or your heavy duty surf rods and things, that's not a problem because you can put enough epoxy on it depending on the blank to be able to make it flat. But if you don't want to do that, skip the gemstone completely and just get their little glitter stuff that they use that's like the reflective material and just drop it on there. Same effect. Snake skin, snake shed.
Cut little strips.
Scales. All the things that we can use from that. Skins, you're going to have to use little strips. Like the skins and the sheds, little strips. Not like unless it's a big rod. Big rods can handle a lot more than the majority of rods. And then if you really want to be super cool about it, you can yank out some scales from the skin and drop them like in a little diamond pattern on the foot or on the backside if it's spinning. Or it just is a time-consuming step. But once again, color preserver is your best friend when adding that on there. And keep a separation of epoxy from the guide foot. If we're putting the scales is what we're talking about right now. If we're putting that and you've got a section that's like this big right in front of where the foot is, go ahead and put the CP on the thread without putting the epoxy on it and drop the scales on that part because you're not touching the foot. You don't have any issues with it because it's not an adhesion problem because the foot is not affected by that. If those scales are going up on the foot or the skin's going in or the shed's going on it, have the separation so you know that it is structurally going to perform the way it's supposed to and not rip out in worst case scenario because you don't want to get that phone call. I went fishing and I lost all of my guides. What did you do? I put it on with hope and dreams. Glitter's another thing. That's an easy peasy one because you can just mix a little bit of glitter into your epoxy and apply it straight on there and it's no extra kind of nothing. With glitter though, that needs to be done in the first coat and then all the rest of them need to be no glitter just to make sure that any of the little sharp edges are not poking up through the epoxy. First coat only, and a little bit of glitter goes a long way. It just kind of depends on what you're wanting to look for. You can also use mica powders too, like the pearlescent ones. They have color changing ones. They have heat color, like you can touch it and it changes. Like there's a bunch of stuff that you can mix in to the epoxy and make it do some fun stuff. Abalone is another one. Now, with the abalone, we don't have to technically wrap it.
And it could just be a dot or square or circle or heart or...
You can take, it depends on what kind of abalone. I will say that the cheat code, we could use the stuff that we normally get for rod building if you wanted to. But there's a cheat code. You can go to the nail ladies and they have abalone little pieces, like mosaic little pieces where it's snapped and you can just stick it wherever you want to.
Kind of crushed it.
So you're going to have like this whole cool little distorted pattern on there, like a stained glass, if you will, kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
You can also just take one of those pieces and trim it up a little bit and make a design. My brain thought to hole punch it, but I don't know if it would crush it or if it would actually do a perfect circle. You may be able to tape the top of it and do it that way so it doesn't fracture.
Or maybe treat it like punching a hole in porcelain.
Yeah,
Put it in water and
give it
punch it.
some sort of cushion. Then you could get circles or whatever sizes you wanted to. I haven't tested that theory, so don't get mad at me if it shatters. Do that on something that you've already broke. I have some here. I could try it eventually. I don't have time right now to do my tests, and it's driving me nuts. Other random things that I've done is like food wrappers. I put condiment wrappers on the hot dog rod last year.
I've got a Slim Jim to
You
eat.
have a Slim Jim. We bought a Slim Jim today for the Slim Jim rod. So I'm going to put the wrapper on where the decorative wrap would technically go.
I ain't
But
had a Slim Jim in months.
I
Years.
will. You excited about it?
I was half tempted to take the microphone off and go get it.
I've got a Slim Jim. I'll be back.
It's been years.
Peace out. Love you guys. I need
Right.
Slim Jim. It's one of the big long ones too.
Got excited.
So for the food wrapper one, okay,
Clean them.
clean them.
Clean them.
Whew. So I took mayonnaise, ketchup,
Mustard.
mustard, and we didn't find the relish. But we had those
No, we
three.
did, didn't we?
I thought, did we have the relish? No, we didn't have
I
the
thought we
relish.
found the relish package.
Anyways, but I know I had those three. I don't remember if I had the relish or not. I cut the wrappers apart. I cleaned all the stuff. I washed them in soap, water, let them air dry, wiped them down again, I think with alcohol, let them air dry again.
On the back side, at least.
And so they all had the silver on the inside, whatever that material is. When I went to put them on there, first off, I don't recommend trying to use the whole section of the wrapper. Maybe like a little, like a word or something from it. But this is just an example of something you can kind of take and make it a little bit better. Because I'm going to tell you, on the rod that I was doing it on was no bigger than my freaking finger. So
Smaller.
it was so hard to get these to wrap.
The butt section was about the size of this pin.
It's one of the JYG jigging rods that we were working on, and it was itty bitty. Strong, but itty bitty. And so there was a lot of trying to figure out how to get this to work. So I wrapped the guides in a solid color. Didn't matter what the color was because you weren't going to see it. Cut them to where they would be completely done. Went ahead, we put a coat of epoxy on the ones that I was covering up. I tried with my color preserver to get it to work.
You repelled it.
It would not take it. I wrapped them. I did all the things. Well, it can't absorb into it, and if you don't put enough down, then it's not going to do what you want it to do. So, struggling, trying to figure out what it. And I ended up super gluing it on there. Now, it worked. You just had to be really careful not to glue your fingers to everything that was.
Yeah. Like, dot, hold.
And like smash it. But I was having to use like popsicle sticks to hold it or paintbrushes to hold the seam flat. Because if I used my finger, I was getting stuck to it. And there was a point where I was scared that I had glued myself to it because I couldn't get my fingers off. I don't recommend that way. I don't recommend doing it for the whole thing. Little trim, sure. I'm thinking more like candy wrappers would be easier because they do not have that metallic on the back. There's not that silver.
Yeah.
Whatever material that is for food safe. That was just pain. The Slim Jim wrapper is probably going to be easy peasy after we clean it. Because I'm going to be able to put CP down on it and wrap it over it, wrap it with some thread, come back, and it's going to be fine. I think that silver foil, whatever it is on the inside, was just not having it. Well, it shouldn't have been the silver because I got the decoupage, I got the full lined from the cupcakes on there. So maybe it was just trying to wrap them around such a skinny object.
I think it was.
And it was just an issue. So, anyways. Other things, fabric. Fabric is a good thing. You can use ribbon. I used ribbon on that one too. I got some plaid red and white. That went on a lot easier with the CP than the other stuff did. I know people have like spiraled ribbons, like in their decorative wraps. Any kind of fabric. You just have to be careful about how it looks when it gets wet.
Yeah, because you'll definitely want to CP it to lock all those colors in.
And if it doesn't dry back clear, then you're going to see the back side of it. Because some of them are double printed. It just depends on which one you're doing. And what else for that one? Signatures. Like, let's think maybe this is like a memorial rod, or maybe it's like a company rod or something that, that a bunch of signatures would mean a lot to a person, or maybe it's your company, just, you know, you and your family are signing it or something, like something of that nature. Just,
Letters, words, phrases.
you know, writing stuff on that. And I used paint pens again. Sharpie paint pens are the best to do the writing on there. And you can get them in 50 colors. Like, they have metallics, they have colors, they have the white, they have the black, they have so many different colors. And the extra fine point, just easy to write on. And if you mess up, isopropyl takes it right off and you can just start over again. Obviously, that needs to be written on epoxy or straight to the blank or something, but it needs, you can't use the paint pen on thread. You're not going to get the same results as you would if you were doing it. Or you could even print out said signatures, and that, you know, if you have maybe a bunch of their family members are signing it or something, and, you know, just stick them on there. Before we get into the other fun things that we are going to be doing, we have a product of the night to discuss, which are the new crappie, panfish, and trout kits.
There's pretty much a rod for just about everything. And when they're saying trout, they're not saying saltwater trout. It's all smaller panfish, as in ultralight light tackle. So there's a 5.6 1-4, a 5.6 2-6, 5.6 2-6 two-piece, which they've set up as kind of a backpack style. 6 foot 1-4, 6 foot 2-6, a 6 foot 2-6 two-piece, and a 6.6 2-6.
And there's some that's missing because there's about 13 of these that are in the actual kits.
Basically, it's all going to be light and ultralight tackle.
And they've got a whole write-up on their site in regards to the ones that they have. And Bob McCamey has put all these kits together. And they feature the American Tackle Tie Forge guides. So between the cork, the guides, like, you know that this stuff's going to work. This is stuff that, like, Bob was actually fishing with and taking out, testing
Bob don't have time to fish, sorry.
Yeah. He knows. He knows. So if you haven't checked them out, you're not sure how to build certain rods for that, that's a great thing to kind of get started.
It's a great starting point to get your feet wet. Like, hey, I want to build one of these rods. I don't know where to start. Grab one, try it out, and then modify from there.
Yeah, because it's easy peasy, throw it together, then you can start tweaking it. And you're like, okay, the expectation is it should be feeling like this, or tweak it. You know, that's the thing about rod building, is you take the concept, you take the guide train recommendation, and you tweak it. You make it work for the blank that you have.
Yeah.
Same thing with these kits, or anybody. And the kits are great also, not just for the rod builders to get a feeler for what that style of fishing is supposed to be like. It's also for people that are beginning into rod building as well. Other things for the putting on guides, photos. If you do the water slide decals, you'd be able to do like photos on them.
Yep. Really tough to do on smaller blanks, but it can be done.
Yeah. This is, I mean, a lot of this stuff depends on the size blank.
You can extend out past the guide a little on that.
Just a wee bit. You don't want to go too far out.
My general rule of thumb is double the guide foot length is as far as I'm ever going to go for anything.
Yeah. But it would be cool for the under wraps to have that. You know, like if you got a saltwater rod or something, surf rod, you could put the photo in the under wrap and not have to worry about doing the lift on the foot. I think that becomes, like, when you're starting to try to transfer things and wrap things because of how it's shaped, it becomes aggravating.
Do it on spinning rods, it's easier.
You could just stick it on the back. Like, straight up, just stick it on the back. Alcohol inks. This is something that some people do a lot of, but I don't think it really gets talked about too much.
Not as much as you would think.
It's kind of playing around with the marbling concept, because you've got your marbling pigments and paints and mica powders and stuff, but alcohol inks can also be marbled as well. They just behave a little bit differently. But you can use the alcohol inks when you can just drop it on there and let it do its thing and let it run into a fresh coat of epoxy. Obviously, if you're new to it, tape off the stuff or practice with it first, because you can get bottles that go and then you got splatter all over the place. Easy to clean off with isopropyl, but regardless, nobody likes to clean up a bloody mess. The other thing that you can do with it is you can push it around with heat and make it do different things. And I have seen the ladies that do all the tumblers and stuff actually put the alcohol inks on like sponges, and they'll just sponge it on. They blot it on, or some of them paint it on, and then you get like the brush strokes and stuff. So that's another quick, easy way to.
I'm pretty sure we've done a sponge technique on a set of guides too.
I have I have done, Nebula had a sponging technique, but
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to ombre it. It was just me taking an actual sponge, cutting off a little section, and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
sponge painting it. But yeah, you can do, I was using it for texture to try to make it look like galaxy stars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The only thing with the alcohol inks from my previous testing of trying to manipulate them to marble with, takes a little bit longer for them to dry in the epoxy. So be aware of that. If it's a quick, trying to get it in and out the door, not going to happen. The alcohol inks, probably because the alcohol in them, the evaporation process makes it slow down dry time. So be aware of that. What's some other stuff? Feathers. We didn't even talk about feathers. Feathers are the go-to. Get the same size small. Get small feathers, cut the tops of them off, use itty bitty little short feathers. Once again, color preserver, put them on there. If you don't have a lot of small feathers, you don't want to go buying a whole bunch of them, guess what? The nail ladies have feathers as well. They have everything. Nail art is literally the place I go check out to see if they've got something first because they have everything. And if it fits on your fingernail, we can sort it out for a rod. Jungle cock, the little eye on the jungle cock, that's perfect little size to drop down on something or just to jazz it up. The tops of the grizzly hackle feathers, which those are plentiful in a bunch of different colors. You can also wrap them around this way, like you would your thread. However, I will flat out tell you it's a pain in the butt. I have done it one time on one fly rod, and I hated myself for coming up with the idea because as soon as my eyeball saw it, I had to do it. And in doing it, I had to sit there for 20 minutes for each side, putting a little bit of CP on, sticking my finger on it, taking the heat gun and heating it up, taking my finger off before it got glued to the thing and tacking it down and basically breaking the spine of the feather as I got it stuck. And that was, I don't recommend it, but you can do it. I'm telling you,
I remember that.
I do some stupid stuff. I was so mad. It took me an hour to do those two little things because I was sitting here. And originally I was just trying to hold it and thinking it'll dry. No, it won't dry. It was just pulling right back up because that feather was like, but when you're trying to make something do the opposite of the way it's supposed to be done, then sure, it's going to give you problems. Gold leaf. Just started gold leaf. Gold leaf's super cool. And I think if I'm going to be putting silver or metallic gold on any thread guide wrap from now on or on a tie off, guess what? It's getting gold leaf because that was the easiest thing I've ever. I did 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I did 22 inlays within like 5 minutes. It would have taken me like an hour and a half probably to do that if I was doing it with thread. And all I did was I took the sizing, I put the rod in the wrapper, I put it on one of my small detail brushes, which still gave me a pretty fat line. So if I wanted thinner lines, I'd have to go for like a fine liner brush, I think. But I put the sizing on the brush, I spun it, I held it steady. This is not a day that caffeine can be bugging you and your hand shaking. But if you've got the RBS Pro G2, you can use the little hand rest tool. But just spin it all the way around, let the sizing dry for 30 minutes, come back.
Does that noise come with it?
It does come with it. It's
cool.
That's the noise that you have to make in order for it to work.
Oh, okay.
And then stick your gold leaf on it. Make a bloody mess because it's going to go everywhere. All right, neat freaks, this isn't your thing. Get it all stuck on there, clean it off, vacuum up everything. Gold inlays, and they won't fade over time. Woohoo! It was really cool. So, and obviously you can do designs and stuff. You don't have to just spin it and do the trim. But I like gold leaf. I like the ease of it. I will say they make gold leaf liquid. Don't use that unless you put CP over top of it. I learned that the hard way
How do you
this year. I learned that the hard way this year because I had that brilliant idea at Foley earlier in the year, and I was like, I'm going to finish up these bass rods that I was making mud hole for their golf event, and I was going to use the gold leaf. No, I was going to use the gold leaf, just normal gold leaf with the sheets and stuff, but we had just put epoxy on the day before. And when I went to put the gold leaf on there, fresh epoxy also acts the same way as sizing does. All of my marbling was solid gold, and I couldn't get it off. I couldn't brush it off. It was just getting stuck, and it was staying stuck, and it was like, I was having a panic attack. And I ended up having to sand it down. Thank you, Mike Garone. Wes went and found him, and he had sandpaper with him. The only time I don't ever travel without sandpaper anymore. But I had
at least a strip, right?
At least a strip. So I had to sand everything back off. And then Lori says, well, I've got some liquid gold leaf. You want to try that? And I was like, sure, like it'll be one less step.
It was 3 more steps.
So I did. And then the first one that we had finished got epoxy when we got home, and it repelled epoxy like there was nobody's business. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. We wiped it down. Luckily, the other two didn't get put into play until we figured out what was going on with that one. Because if we had done it for all three, me and Wes would have been pulling our hair out. We were so mad. But we finally figured out it was the gold leaf, the liquid gold leaf. So I put CP on the other two, and guess what? No problems. Epoxy went on them like a dream. But it took us 8 attempts after we started that first epoxy coat that repelled to be able to get it clean enough to be able to get a solid coat on it. Like it was just, it was a mess.
I will tell you, if you let the epoxy start to kick, it helps to apply over that problem.
Yeah. I was making him do the epoxy on that because I was frustrated. I was
like, you want it to be almost to the point you can't pull it out of the cup. Put it on the rod then, and then heat it just a little
to make
it lay flat. And
then you got to sit there and baby it.
It won't move. But yeah. you got to go back over it after.
Yeah. So, liquid gold leaf, seal it with color preserver. That's all I'm going to say. You can also really blow everybody's minds and make yourself be called a whole bunch of different names and take screw heads and cut the threads off and stick them on the top of your guide wraps and make everybody think that you screwed your guides on, and you just destroy the integrity of the blank. I don't know why you would send that out with all the cracks and everything in it. No, man, I just puzzle pieced it back together and I'm hoping the thread holds it in place. Like, no, I did not screw through the blank or the guide with these things. All I did was sand the threads off, took the top of the I found these itty bitty little screw heads that Cindy McKay actually sent me in a clock, and I disassembled the entire clock hunting down all of these little screw heads, and I dropped them on the epoxy after it had started to set up, and that's how Hope Bolster's guides are done. I got that idea from Nuno Paulino. That did not come out of Alice's head. That came out of Nuno's head. But yeah, you're gonna get called a whole bunch of names if you do that, because people are really gonna see that and go,
"Stop being so virtuous."
That's when you tell people it's a snake shed that you painted, and they're like, "Stop being virtuous. Like a snake died for this." And I'm like, "No, he's good. He's eating rats, hanging out. He's probably like the happiest, healthiest gaboon viper possible." But anyways, nail studs.
What are those?
Not nail, like nail into wood. Fingernail studs. They're like itty bitty little flat round pieces, and that's the general is like a circle shape. However, if you go into nail art, you're going to find a whole bunch of studs that are shaped in every possible shape. Ribbons, hearts.
That's nail as in Nail.
Yeah, fingernail.
Don't type in male.
No.
Studs.
Fingernail art. If you just search that, you're going to find thousands of things that I'm not even going to have time to mention to you tonight. There's so much out there. But the little studs are great. They're not very tall. You're going to think most of these get sealed in with like a layer of fingernail polish, which is just a single layer of our epoxy, basically. Well, fingernail polish is not the same as our epoxy. I'm saying it's the same. They have one coat. We have multiple coats. Let's just phrase that a little differently. Jesus, nobody was like, that's not the same epoxy. Spreading misinformation. But nail studs and
fake news.
Fake news. It's fake news. But nail studs, or just look up nail art stuff. There is so many different things that you can find. The little studs are fun because you can find cogs, you can find skulls, you can find hearts and ribbons, and sometimes you can find like paw prints and Amazon.
College decals.
Yeah. Amazon has thousands of them. Start with Amazon, look up fingernail art supplies. If you want to shorten it to nail art, because that's usually how most of the ladies and the gentlemen that do it abbreviate it. They say nail art, but check it out. It's fun. Same thing. CP. Put it on. Another random thing. Teeth.
Fangs.
Or fangs from snakes.
EB little fish teeth.
You can ask your snake, what are they called?
Handlers.
Snake handlers, if they will retrieve fangs for you, but make sure if they don't charge you for them.
Tip them.
Tip them. because these poor people have to go digging through snake poop to find said things. So, at least if they don't charge you for it, tip them because they have to go poop diving. But those would be fun, or the teeth from fish, or anything that's like small.
Mm-hmm. We've put shark's teeth and
Itty bitty ones. We don't have any of the big ones. I will say that you don't want to put like a giant tooth. Like, even though it's really cool that you found one and it might be really cool to like fit with the vibe of the rod, you don't want to put such a giant tooth on the guide foot that is going to be near the ring in any way, shape, or form. Because even at the best, most pretty arc of the guide train, when it's at 90 degrees, sometimes, depending on how that fish is acting, that line can, like, if it goes from being straight and pretty, it can drop real quick because of how that fish is, like, chasing and stuff. And what if it gets hooked on a giant tooth that's sticking out of the epoxy? Like, we're just asking to cut the line. So, itty bitty ones, sure. Big ones, that's questionable. Put that on the butt. Put that somewhere down at the bottom where you're not going to have the line
put it on the butt.
Put it on the butt. Like, the butt of the rod would be the easiest unless it's going into your hip or your leg or something. We did put an itty bitty little shark tooth on the beach rod.
Mm-hmm.
And some broken ones were on there as well. But anything for me, if I'm going to put it on the rod, with a few exceptions, I need to make sure it's going to be completely enclosed in the epoxy. The only thing that we have never closed in the epoxy were those cogs on Hulkbuster. And they were sealed. They're completely sealed. But there's a little bit of a ridge. So there's a ripple from the height difference of them.
It's because it's been 8 years and that rod's not done.
That's not the, you didn't want to put any more epoxy on it because it was going to get stupid heavy, because there was going to be like 5 to 10 more layers of epoxy trying to get it to a smooth level.
27 coats of epoxy in that buck section to cover those cogs.
But he doesn't grip it, and it doesn't matter because it's an anchor rod. I did it for him because if it messes up, we can fix it. It is what it is. And he wanted it, so don't let him fool you. It wasn't like I took it hostage and said, I'm doing what I want. Da 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 da. It's giveaway time. Oh, that should be the new thing. I'm never going to remember it, though. Ready? What's our giveaway?
Your choice of a set of Thai Forged guide kit. It does not come with a tip, but it will be a set of guides that you're going to pick. There's some that goes up to 6.6, up to 7.6. Some of them have selections based on the size of reel, be it 1,000, 2,500, or like 2,500 to 3,000, or 3,000 to 5,000. Different materials, different rings, but your choice of a set of Thai Forged guide kits.
Well, here's how it works for those that are new. We ask a question. Whoever is the first one to get it right will win. It's as simple as that. And it's more than just those 6 photos of the Thai Forged guide kits. It's any that are on that page. All right.
It's any of the, you'll type in Thai Forged as one word,
guide kit,
and any of those.
So you get to pick casting, spinning, whatever, whichever one.
Narrow, I love them. Like,
we use them all the time.
we love them long time.
We love them just as much as we love the microwaves.
What year did I start building rods?
Congratulations, Lindsay. The answer was 2006.
2006. Next year will be 20 years.
He has literally been building since the year after we graduated from high school.
Yep.
Moving on. One of the last, I think I got like 5 or 6 more. Shells. Itty bitty little shells.
Yep. Just
once again, CP.
Shells.
This is inspired from the beach rod. You can put sand on there too. I will say that
sand was a pain.
Sand is a pain. Sand is an absolute nightmare. It's a pain. I don't recommend to do that for all of your guides, but if you really are invested in it, then sure.
You definitely could.
I wrapped, for the sand part of it, I wrapped a thread that matched the sand as best as I could, something that would kind of disappear. Then I came back and I applied CP, and I dropped sand on the CP as it was slowly turning in the dryer mode. That didn't work very well. I ended up having to put CP and like packing it in there, and then I would just leave it and just work quarter of a turn every single time. Once that was dry, if I had any patches anywhere that I wanted sand, I had to come back and do it again. This is where it was a pain. I put probably 3 or 4 coats of CP on top of this by like dropping, like getting it on my paintbrush and dropping it on top, because I knew better than to like spin it because it was just going to drag it. And even with having 3 or 4 coats of CP on top of it, sand was still pulling out when we would go to put epoxy on. So it was a pain for the beach run that we did, because the wrap in between this we had to do separately from the thread ramps to keep the
vibe.
to keep the sand out of the water, if you will. We only had to do that for the first time that we put it on there, but every other time after that, once it had a coat on it, it was fine.
Yeah.
But it was a little pain in the butt. But it
had
it's an option.
shells and sand and teeth and
Had all kinds of stuff on it. Itty bitty little things. Plants is another thing. Kind of mentioned this with flowers, but plants. You can put fern leaves. You can put, all kinds of stuff on there. Once again, dried flowers, my go-to. I don't really know how a regular leaf would do, but I know dried works. I don't know if it would break down over time. I would think that with it being sealed in epoxy, it'd be fine.
Should be.
You should be preserving it, so it should be okay. But plants are another option. This was Wes's suggestion.
No, it came from another builder who did it.
So Chris Licht, we enjoy some of his work. He gets asked to do some fun stuff. One of the rods that he did, which is kind of suiting because it's almost Halloween time, but he did a blood and bones rod, and there's actual blood went into the epoxy,
and ground up bones went into the epoxy for this person asked for it. Okay. I don't know what the story behind it was. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to know.
I don't need to know.
Voodoo.
Don't need to know. That's not my need to know thing. That's an option. But with the ground up bones, ashes for the dearly departed, that could be pets, that could be people that are important. Now, a lot of times, when you're mixing ashes into your epoxy, put a mask on.
Please.
Use a tiny little bit. There's no reason to put a ton of it in there. But put a mask on. Make sure you don't have your fans blowing. No fans, no air movement, no nothing. Don't sneeze. Don't even think about breathing while you're working with it. Like, just... Because, that's a whole different kind of, like, guttural feeling when it's like, that is a person, or an animal. And you're like, I don't want to breathe it. But you could mix it into the epoxy, and now it will have like that kind of ash tone to it. So if you do it the right way, you'll end up with some kind of like wispy vibes, if you will, or it could just be mixed all the way throughout the epoxy. Hair. Apparently this is something like Pat's hair, your hair, horse hair, rainbow
dyed hair. Dyed hair.
Dyed hair. This is stuff that, if it fits the theme, then sure, why not,
I've seen hairy grips before.
Don't like those.
I've seen carpet on grips.
Don't like those. Mm-mm. Yeah, well, there was a carpet.
Shag carpet.
There was a carpet rod. There's somewhere floating around out there.
There's a shag carpet rod floating around somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And the last thing I will give you tonight, which probably, if I sat here long enough, I could probably come up with another 50 more. But once again, going back to my nail artists, the foil. They have foil that's really cool. It transfers the design to the nail, and then you pull the foil off.
Mm-hmm.
And they have it multicolors. They have it where it has like patterns of stuff on it. They have it where, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. And they even have these like glittery sheets. I guess it's the closest thing you could probably think of as like Mylar, but it's more like a really thin kind of transparent thing. But it's shiny, and you can cut it into little pieces and stick it, and it looks like reflective glass once it has epoxy and stuff on it. Yeah, just check out the nail artist. There's so much stuff they have. There's so much cool stuff. The only thing I will say about the foils and using some of their things, like you have to have a certain kind of top coat of like their clear fingernail polish in order to get some of that stuff to work. So just keep that in mind when you're testing it. Like sometimes our epoxy will work, sometimes it won't, but you just kind of have to try it out. Don't put it on a rod first when you're doing tests. Put it on a piece of PVC or broken blank or something. Or test it under the place where you're putting the real seat. You're never going to see it. You can use that area. Don't test it on your guides, because you're going to get mad at me if it doesn't work or it tears up and does something stupid. And you're going to be like, well, Mary said it would be fine. Told you to try it and didn't tell you it was going to be successful. So that's all of my and Wes's. That's all the things that I know that you could try. And things that I have wanted to try and haven't had a chance to try. As long as it's not hindering the performance of the guides, and it's not affecting the action of the blank and everything, I say run with it. And that's honestly where I'm at with it. At this point in time, let's open it up to Q&A. So let's chat, let's talk. Scanned a signature and cut it out with Cricut. Make it large enough to have some bulk to make it easier to handle. Yes. Cricut can do some pretty cool stuff. I use it for a lot of different things. EVA grips, stickers, decals, and that's just touching the surface of what it can do.
Car decals.
It can car decals.
Rod tube decals.
Rod tube decals. We installed a rod tube on the car today. It looks official. Like I'm starting to look like a rod builder that actually fishes.
Right. After how long?
14 years. The tiger. She was ready to do the overlay tonight. Way. Yeah, right there.
Here.
I was ready to do the overwrap tonight. I'm just going to be honest with the amount of things that I have to get finished before we leave Wednesday.
That was not going to be the episode tonight.
I couldn't do it because I'm going to have to like turn and burn this episode as quick and as fast as I can, because not only do I have to I'm already in the process of like planning out my seminars and getting the supplies and stuff together for them, but I've only ironed out one of the 6. And so I've got to get the rest of that stuff planned. I've got to keep working on as many rods as I can to try to, I'm hoping I can finish Tom's that's back here, but I don't even know if that's going to be ready to ship before we leave because of epoxy drying time. And we have to pack up the shop. We have to pack up what we need to take with us for our demos because he has his too. You still got to figure out what you're doing for paracord if you're going to take that rod and do the other grip, but then the second class isn't going to get the same benefit of teaching.
No. My paracord class is on Friday. Like, it's just the afternoon.
I know, but you still have to prep something.
I'm just going to be working on it.
You still have to do it.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to be working on it.
I got to do cork burning and painting on Friday afternoon, so I don't know what.
That way, if I need to take a break, I can just, all right, hey, y'all give me 30 minutes. I need to take a break. Like,
maybe I'll do my fun project that I've been wanting.
Friday is like a wide open. It's not a preset.
Yeah, you don't have
because people can pop in and do it. And
anyways, we still got to plan all that stuff. We got to pack up ourselves, pack up the kids, because now we have that. We have to pack rods into my brand new tube that Wes made for me. Is in one of my favorite colors, although it needs to be a little lighter, but it's okay. It looks good on the car.
It'll lighten with the UV fade.
Yeah, it'll
fade it.
It'll absolutely fade it. And then I also have to make 8 or 9 loaves of bread to take, because apparently
why you gotta make it?
That got added to the plate because I'm not gonna triple up on stuff. I don't know if it's for, like, I gotta find out, like, if this is just for Brooke or if it's just for, because...
You think Brooke and Bob are gonna share?
That's the problem. I want them to have their own stuff, but other people to try it too. Because some of these, like, the lemon loaf, like, I want one, you know? We're gonna have to have things to snack on. But look at me. But I have a lot of bread and stuff to make before we go too.
Sound like you playing Betty Crocker tomorrow.
It's gonna be Monday and Tuesday. I'm gonna have to do it so it's fresher. And then I have to edit this. And I have to get this out by Tuesday. And I'm missing a whole lot of other stuff. Like clean the house. I have to get the dogs prepped for the person that's coming over here to look at them. So, yeah. I wasn't going to take a whole day to edit down the video for the tiger. I was just going to wait until we get back. It is what it is. On a split grip, how large do you make the bottom grip? Or is it to suit each rod?
Suit each rod?
It's just whatever is required of it. I'm going to do white theme wrap using 4 colors of white and silver. In your opinion, what would be a good design for that color? Chevron wrap or diamond or both combined? I like your style, first off.
Personally, I'd say keep it simple because that can get real busy.
I think either option or out of all 3, I think any of them are going to work. It just depends on how big you do your patterns. Chevron's going to be easy to keep up with and you're going to see definition. The diamond's just going to be a different shape. Instead of a point with the X chevron, then you're just going to get a square. If you put them both together, you're probably going to get some like fun angles from where the white is running into the silver and this, that, and the other. So I think any of those options would be good. If it was me personally, because I don't like to do just one pattern, I'd be doing a diamond and a chevron together. Snowflake would look really good with that design too. I think Snowflake would be pretty. I was trying to think. I did a white and silver themed rod. What wrap did I have on her? I did the scales on that one, and that one was really pretty because white was where the scale was, and I used the grays to do the shading. That was actually one of my favorite wraps. And I put an itty bitty little black dot as the start. It was 2 passes of black, so it made a little dot, and then it went into the rest of it. How do you pick out your colors? Depends on the day. Sometimes I'm on Pinterest and I see a color palette or color scheme that I really like. Sometimes I look at somebody's hat and randomly try to take a picture without them knowing because I'm like, oh, I like those colors. Ties in the
She
stores.
legit has walked up behind people and taken pictures of things they're wearing without them knowing.
I'm not taking pictures of them. I'm just looking at their clothes. Like, I'm just like,
I've seen her walk up like, no joke, like this on somebody.
and run away like real quick. Like, I'm not trying, and people probably think I'm weird as hell, but I'm literally just zooming in on the one part that I liked, and I don't see it anywhere else for me to reference it. I know, I'm weird. It's fine. Men's ties have great colors. Men's, like, Hawaiian shirts have great colors. Men's socks have great colors. I really just see, when I see a color palette that I really like, there's my inspiration. Or if I'm trying to find one for my customers, I'm usually on Pinterest pulling from my massive 700 photos of color palettes that I've saved, and I'm like, what about this one or this one or this one? And we go from there. Where do you get your long drill bits for EVA? Is there a special name for them?
DeWalt.
We get ours from
DeWalt.
from from Home
It's the only drill
Depot.
bit that matters. DeWalt.
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 They're just long drill bits. Like,
DeWalt.
would you stop saying that? Ours come from Home Depot. I don't know if you guys have Home Depot in Australia or not. I don't know if that's a
DeWalt.
stop. But they're not any specialty drill bit. It's just they're long drill bits.
But we only go
12
usually
inches.
2 inches longer than the length we're trying to do.
But I have 4 inches, I have 6 inches, and I have 12. I usually use the 12-inch bit, but I'm not drilling 12 inches. I only bore center on 7 inches or less because it's a lot easier to keep the center straighter and not have it waver off, especially on a piece that you glued up together. Because even if you do cut it perfectly square, it will still have a wobble to it. So I usually do 7 inches or less, but I still use the 12-inch drill bit, even though I don't have to, but that's typically the one I use.
It is a split point, 1 1/4 inch DeWalt drill bit, black and gold series. Item number DW1606.
But that's the 1/4 inch one. The one I use the most is the 5/16, I think.
5/16 to 3/8. I can't remember.
These drill bits are slightly smaller than the mandrels that they go on.
Yeah, that way it's a snug fit going on.
You want it snug. You don't want to have to tape it because if you have to tape it to get it to be snug, it gets to be aggravating, especially when you have contact cement inside of your glue joint from where you glued your two pieces back together because it'll heat up and it will appear like it's stuck itself to the mandrel, but don't worry, it hasn't. It will come off, but I don't like taping them.
But we use those because they tend to do better as far as keeping straight bore. They don't tend to waver or move or
They're sturdy.
they're so thin they are sturdier.
The shafts are sturdy. We can only get them at
Home Depot.
Home Depot.
Can't get them anywhere else here.
Lowe's doesn't have them, and Harbor Freight doesn't have them.
There's nothing like them.
They don't. Well, Harbor Freight has longer ones. You can get a 36-inch one from Harbor Freight. I mean, granted, they're longer, so it's harder to stabilize them. But the ones I got, even the short one that came in the kit from Harbor Freight, was very, and it was tearing up the inside, which when you go to ream it,
That's what he said.
makes it really hard. Oh my god. Makes it really hard to keep the center straight. I'm going to be honest, one of the courses that are seminars that I'm working on for Mud Hole, I can't talk about it until we get back because it's got to be privy for them. But I'm going to tell you, it has been a life-changing kind of like, Wes doesn't quite understand it, but I have been living by these certain set of rules for so long and have figured that I've been lied to. And so I'm just like having an existential crisis that now I have to change how I've been doing things for a long time, and it's been interesting. But that's going to be a fun seminar.
I'm going to be fishing during that seminar
It will,
because I'm pretty sure that seminar's after lunch.
no, the first one is the first thing in the morning.
Mm.
The after lunch one is the second one that I got to figure out what I'm doing. So Wes had the idea because last year we were catered in like sandwiches, like Jimmy John sandwiches or sandwiches from Publix, one of the two.
They
Like,
were Public subs.
like good food. Like we even when we have gatherings here, we use Publix because it's good food, good prices, it's fresh, whatever.
Public subs are like
They're
top
delicious.
subs.
They're delicious, and it's all, and we always get the chicken to go with it too. The little chicken nuggets, chicken bites, whatever they are. Anyways, but a lot of people ate turkey. They got sleepy after they ate because one, they ate, their belly's full. Two,
And they ate turkey.
They ate turkey. They was sleepy. So they was falling asleep in class. Now, I don't get offended by that. Like, it's a long day.
It's after lunch. Like,
it's after lunch. Like, and we're talking about decorative wraps. Like, how exciting could that possibly be for everybody, you know? People getting sleepy. Wes goes, you should bring a water gun this year.
not like a big...
Not a super soaker.
You know, the pea shooters.
Just the itty bitty
Just the ones that like 5-6 foot.
And so anybody that falls asleep, I'm going to, like, shoot them in the hand with a water gun. But I am going to prep people that I have a water gun, and that whether or not I pull it out, who actually knows. But I'm going to be like, I have a water gun, stay awake. But I'm going to try to make it invigorating so they can't fall asleep. So I don't really know how I'm going to make decorative wraps exciting, but we'll figure it out.
It's about the inflection. The inflection of decorative wraps.
Somebody be falling asleep. It is pass up and down. And they're going to be like, ah. Everybody's going to be falling out of their seats, scared to death. But I am going to warn them at the end of it. I'm like, I brought a water gun, so if you don't want to get shot, don't fall asleep. And if I do shoot them, it'll be like on their hands so they can't get upset. Beep, beep, beep. It'd be like the guy. Have you seen the guy on TikTok that
the professor?
No, he's in. Oh, there's a professor that does it. I'm talking about the guy at the gas station who hides in the cooler while the people are pulling out the product, and when they go to pull out product,
because they keep the door open too long.
And he
like,
shoots
close the damn door.
Shoots him in the face with the hand or the neck.
You know, there's a professor that sings to people when they fall asleep in his class, and he just walks up and like he's singing to them.
Oh, that's weird. That'd be hilarious. See, I think Wes had a great idea because it would be pretty funny. Like, tell people ahead of time, don't fall asleep.
I told her, don't shoot him in the head. Shoot him in the face. Like,
not shoot him in the face. Like, that's rude. It's rude.
It's rude to fall asleep during a seminar.
I gotta. Like, or maybe I'll get the kids involved. Maybe I'll have them shoot them so they can't get mad at them.
Get the little one.
Get the little one involved. Get the youngest and the oldest and be like, just shoot them in the hand. Don't shoot them anywhere else, but shoot them in the hand, and I'll make them sneak around in the aisles.
Or the better thing, like they could just walk up behind them, like you said, and shoot them right on the back of the neck so it runs down.
I told her, that would be messed up. Somebody came up behind you and put it on there, right at the back of your shirt where it ran down your back. I'd be mad if I woke up like that.
I'd be mad if somebody fell asleep during my seminar.
I don't get mad about that. Like, they're losing out on the info, not me. I know it.
Do you? I'm sorry, I had to.
I love you, but I'm no. You will understand more about why he just asked me that and why I just said that whenever I share what my seminar
Do you
is
know
about. I questioning life, okay?
It's all fun and games.
You gotta cut a wrap off.
You gotta cut a wrap off because of it. And you go, why?
Why?
Oh, this is why.
Because I want to talk about it so bad, but I can't. I gotta have that privy. I gotta leave that privy. Just a week, 2 more
Just
weeks.
tune back in next time.
There will
2
be.
weeks.
I will say, are the gnats
Bastard.
back?
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Still twitching.
Somebody come look at this. Somebody come look at this. Kill him.
It's damn things.
You see him?
I see him. I'm about to throw my can at him.
Don't throw the can at the light. You know how much that light costs? No. That was a low blow.
It was so damn
That's
funny.
a low blow.
It's so funny.
So when it comes to your guide wraps, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do to decorate them and continue the theme or even make it personal, you know, anywhere from like the gold leaf to painting them to putting thread in there to snake shad to adding fabric, adding pieces from cupcake liners to... The sky is the limit, in my opinion. As long as it's not hindering performance, it's not causing issues with the line, potentially touching it, as long as you've tested it and it's not going to be an issue, I feel like it's wide open. And it's just another section of the rod that you can make custom. And for me personally, I'd rather paint guides
Then wrap them.
Than wrap them. I'd rather do that. I would rather spend the extra time doing that kind of artsy kind of side of it because it just... Yes, I could do the thread inlays, and I don't mind doing them on certain size blanks. I don't like to do them when I have 5 runners and it's a very tiny blank. Or on that Slim Jim rod, I hated wrapping the runners on that because it was so tiny at the end of it. I would not have wanted to carry any kind of trim or any kind of fun thread work on it. And for that one in particular, I wrapped the guides in black. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to put some of them yellow little flames on it to carry the rest of the Macho Man Randy Savage theme all the way up it. Because that's going to look awesome. And I couldn't do that with red. Sure, I could put a little single turn of it, but not doing it today. We're going to have fun painting guides again. Or I'll have the Cricut cut out some decals and I'll just stick them on there. One of the two. Well, I will figure it out. But really just kind of play around and experiment with it, because I think that's the fun part about it, is figuring out ways to make a rod, have a theme, have a whole style, all of that, and making it different than the other rod builders that are around you, because that's how you create a persona, a business, a name that sticks out when people are talking about it. If you want marbled rods, you should be going to so-and-so because of how much work they do on it. Or if you really want some custom themed rods, go check this person out, because that's how you create that niche in the market that people are seeking you out, is by standing out from everybody else. So if everybody else is doing trims and inlays and olive branches and stuff, what's going to make you different? What's going to make you stand out in the crowd? Any of the things that we talked about tonight are going to make you stand out in the crowd. I think last year the hot dog rod was the big one that everybody was talking about, because it was a hot dog on a rod. And my customer got to say that he caught a fish on a hot dog.
On a weenie rod.
On a weenie.
I caught a fish on a weenie rod.
You can say I caught a fish on a hot dog. And his guide wraps, he's taking it fishing. He's caught a bunch of fish on it. Amazing. But his guide wraps had condiment wrappers on them, who does that? Who has a rod that looks like that? He does. And then he came back for the Slim Jim. And then this year's big talk's the Big Five, because there's so much with the leather work and everything. I do a lot of custom rods that are themed, because that's what I enjoy to do. I don't want to do the basic ones. That's what he likes to do. He likes to do the get it in, get it out, be done with it, because he doesn't have the patience for certain stuff.
Nope.
But for certain things like marbling,
it's still not having to be patient. I can marble a rod in 5 minutes.
But it's beautiful, and it's done correctly. And marbling doesn't have to be time-consuming in any way, shape, or form, which it's going to be fun with me and you teaching the same class between your style and my style.
All right, we're going to have a test.
Yeah.
Whoever wins in speed is correct.
You're going to win, because mine's going to take the longest. I guarantee you're going to sit down. It's going to be 5 to 10 minutes that you're actually going to be teaching, and the rest of it's going to be me doing
explaining
the rest of it.
Flat. Yep.
We're not even flat, doing my little blooming feathers and stuff on there, doing all the intricate advanced marbling that I had to self-teach myself really quickly. But just have fun with it. Do you, do something that makes you happy. Find enjoyment in this, because I know when I talk to majority rod builders, we all can agree that we dislike guides, but we have to put them on there, because otherwise it's just a stick. Inline, but yeah, sure, we could talk about
inline,
that.
Tenkara.
But we have to put guides on our rods and have fun doing it. Try different stuff.
Have a good night. And remember, get your DeWalt bits.
Y'all have a great night. Bye. You freaking goober.